Hi, everyone. I'm Shelly Harris, and this is James Harris. We're with the race day team at RunSignup. We also have Chris McDonald on the line as well. We are here to go over the timer survey that we recently put out in January. And this is all about timers, obviously. And the goal of today's session is to share with you the survey findings, but also to take a moment and to apply what we found to things that you can apply to your business, and also to kind of have some, back and forth information where you can provide some information as well along the way. So I'll be asking some questions. So there's in the GoToWebinar control panel, there's a questions area and chat section. So you can use the chat section to answer things, or the questions area, it doesn't matter. And then if you have questions, feel free to go ahead and type those in, and Chris or James will be helping with any questions that people have. But before we begin, I wanted to launch a poll just to see how many people took the survey. And there's no right or wrong answer. If you could complete the survey, we're just curious. If you're not able to get to the poll, just minimize your screen. If you have your screen maximized, then the poll won't show. So, okay, it looks like most people took the survey, which is great. We had so far about 70% took the survey. Some of you did not, and hopefully next year you'll be able to take part in that. And but thank you for participating. And as I said, it really doesn't matter, but it is good for us to know the participation level of things. So let me get back. I guess the poll launch took me off of my presenting. Okay, so with this year's survey, we had 161 respondents, which was a great showing. Our timer distribution list or email list is actually 1,600, so that's about 10% of our distribution list. However, we try to extend this out to timers that aren't necessarily in the world of RunSignup, because we know there's plenty that aren't really working with RunSignup and may not be affiliated at all. So we did post or promoted the survey to Timers Talk on Facebook and let other people know about it and so forth. So we do like to try to get as much kind of broader audience of respondents as possible. We only had it open for about 2 weeks this year, where last year we had it open for probably over a month. But 2 weeks is long enough. So, but again, we had pretty good showing in this year. So the topics that we're going to cover and that were explored with this survey was covered more around the general timer business, the approach to the timing business, the overall role of timers. And then we added a section to address the COVID-19 impact on the industry and to kind of get some insights on that and future planning. And then specifically a little bit into the race day products. Not too much time was spent on that. So we're going to cover today each of those, the survey findings for those topics. So 87% of respondents own or partially own their timing business. So that doesn't mean that all timers is representative 87%, but the respondents. So those that responded, and you'll see that the numbers, were pretty similar to last year. We had some slight adjustments in this, but in the general, if you look at the top 3, those are all had some type of partnership. But work for someone else actually decreased, and that might have just been those that responded to this survey. So, but to go back to that just for a moment, this is key though, because if you look at the timers, they have a stake in the game. So that means that what you're doing, you're putting potentially, most likely, a lot more effort into the services that you're providing because you do own it and it's all on you. And there's there is a lot more skin in the game with that. So it's just interesting to know that even from our standpoint as one of the people or companies that support you. So 57%, however, have some form of other employment outside of their timing business. And that pretty much stayed the same. The only thing is that we added this other component of, you had to get a job because of COVID. So, another job because of COVID, because there was that impact. But this is also important for us. One of the things we look at this is that because timers have other forms of employment, we need to make our solutions easy to use. We need to make our software easy to use so that when you, if you're coming in only on the weekends and you've got a full-time job on the during the week, that you can just slide into it easily and use our technology efficiently. So, so this is the type of information that we then apply to our discussions internally when we're deciding should we make a change in the way that things are presented or the way in our programming in general. So so the number of races, we asked timers, how many races do you have or do you represent? And there's definitely a diverse range. However, close to 50% have less than 50 events. And then you have 26% have between 51 and 100, and then 25% have more than 100. So this is interesting also just there's different things that timers need depending on the number of events and so forth that they're serving. The type of templates and things that you can reuse repeatedly, and just kind of cookbook type of tools and so forth. So that's one of the reasons why we look at this data point. And let me get to so we did see an increase in competition in the timer industry. If you look at this, I don't know if you can tell, but there's this light green over here, and that's 2020 compared to the dark green, which is 2019. Anything 5 and above is higher competition. So the midway is 5. So if you look over here, that there's in this section, we're definitely at higher competition. And which is interesting because we definitely see in the future data that I'm going to share with you that there is kind of this shift where timers are potentially going after other market share just to stay afloat. So what are the ways that timers compete? This actually remained the same as last year. The top 3 are relationship building, the services, expanding the types of services, and then technology and understanding technology and making use of it. So those are very, interesting types of things. And we cover the services and the technology a little bit in this survey, but I wanted to take a moment while we have people here, because we didn't really cover relationships. And I'm curious to know, as timing business people, what do you do to help build those relationships? So if you can type that in the chat or the questions area just quickly, what are some things that you do to build relationships with your events? Is it understanding, personal things like their birthday, or you're trying to, you make sure you touch base with them every quarter? You try to do FaceTimes with masks now, or do you call them on a monthly basis, or what are the things, or do you do it that through adding like services because you're creating those stickiness, in that relationships? So if you can share that, that would be great. I'm not seeing if anybody answered. I hope it's working.
I don't see that you launched a poll.
Oh, I didn't. I was just asking if people could type it in the chat feature.
Yeah, no.
Okay, well, if people could, I'll ask you later. This will be a survey question I'll be doing as a follow-up, because this is something I'm curious to know, because I want to know how we can help you. So my role at RunSignup is to help our timers with their business as much as I can. So, and as a marketing professional, that's something I'm very curious to know is what timers do to help build that relationship. And then thinking about ways that we can maybe support you in that. So we did have one response that she talks to them, thanks Deb, all the time, and she knows most of them personally, where they work, their kids, their grandkids' names. She also offers live results, and I'm available to them for any questions they have at any time, and they love that. And she answers them immediately. So like that stellar kind of customer service. Okay, thanks, Deb. Good. Okay, so another, this we all know, timers don't just time events, but what's interesting is race directors may not know that. And the reason why I say that is because when we made the shift to having timers provide race joy, we had, and that they could only, events could only go through their timers for race joy. We did have, and we continue to get races kind of saying, why do I have to go through my timer? But it's a natural, progression of services that a timer would provide. But this is key in understanding also how do timers then market themselves if they're not just providing timing services, and how do you get beyond that maybe perception that is the, that is what a timer provides. Because just to make it more succinct, we refer to timers as timers, and maybe there's a better term for that. So I was curious around that as well, and I'll ask in a moment after I share this. But one of the questions we asked her, like, what other services do you provide? And the number one is, and this continues to be the same, is race directing, for the event. Virtual results was obviously new this year. Custom shirts and bibs, course certifications and doing the layout, item rentals, participant tracking, event marketing, all of these, and volunteer, all of these are the, the top ones that the services that races provide. Another one that people put in the comments was registration, setting up the registration, which as a registration company, we probably should have had that as part of our respondents, but so it was good to see that as well. So timers continue to be viewed as the technology experts in the industry. So this is kind of leads to another question that I'm just curious. How do you refer to yourselves with your races? Do you refer to yourself as a timer, or do you say that you're an event producer, or do you use a different phrase? And again, I'm just curious because it can also help, we can then help the timers in the industry maybe kind of reposition their position in the industry. So if you could just type that in either the question field or the chat field, if you have a different term or the way that you describe your business, beyond just being a timer. And I'll probably put these kind of survey questions out in the next newsletter, because I think going through this, it kind of lends to some good questions. Okay. All right, so now we're going to move on to the impact of COVID-19, and then what are the plans for 2021? So a significant number of timers were impacted by COVID, obviously. So 80%, 81% of timers indicated that significant impact. And so but most are hanging in there, and there's reasons for that. And a lot of them got, financial support and so forth. Now, the thing about this data is that those that responded are going to be obviously that are active participant or active timers in the industry, and some of them, may not be responding to the survey because they're off into their new job, right? So, so this may not be representative of those that maybe, had to close their business. But it does tell us, obviously, that the timer industry specifically really got hit hard. Okay. So 96% of the timers that responded were impacted. And again, this is showing where, we have 1.4% were devastated and had to close. But obviously it's more than likely it's longer, it's greater than this. And then we had, a small percentage, but about 3.5% either didn't have any impact or are doing better. So those are kind of unique situations where we did see some races that because of where they were at, where the races were taking place, they were able to, continue on with their events. 46% received some financial assistance through, the different government programs that came out. Some tried, but were not able to get funding. And then, others tried different things. And then, there was actually a great majority that did not get financial assistance. So 63% of timers adjusted their services in response, and 18% are waiting it out. So I want to encourage, if any of you are those 18%, that we look to this survey, the responses, and I'm hoping that you'll see that maybe you can adjust your services. And I understand there's certain areas in the country that people are just completely locked down. But there are different services that maybe can get creative on ways that you can get around that and provide a solution to to the industry. Okay, so the majority of timers plan to either hold on to their business or grow their business. If you look at this capturing market share, and that's what I was talking about, this shows that there's a really strong group of timers that are saying, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to capture market share while this is going on and add new races on. We have a smaller group saying wait and see, or they're waiting for things to open up. There is a big chunk here that are just going to hold on to their current business. So one of the things that we saw in the comments that I wanted to share is that timers are actually just starting their own races, and they're saying, you know what, the race doesn't feel comfortable. I know how to do this. I have all the tools. I'll just do a virtual race and I'll offer it through, RunSignup's platform, and I'll market it and I'll get, add on this new race and potentially have a revenue stream. So that's something to think of if you haven't thought of. And it's great to see that timers are getting innovative. But I also realize in talking with different timers that some of them are like, you know what, if they're not going to do it, I'm contacting these races around me and seeing what their plans are for 2021. And telling them I can do different things. And I actually encountered a timer that just got Race Joy certified. She wanted to get it activated, but another timer had already gotten that Race Joy business. So, think about that, it is potentially a time for just to capture market share and get innovative and, actually come out stronger ahead of things. So, okay. So the 2021 timer planning with races, we asked, have you discussed your plans with your races? Have you proactively asked your races what they're going to do for 2021 and then help guide them like on their virtual aspect and so forth? And 70% have already discussed their plans. But you look at 30% have not talked to their races yet. We have 10% saying that they're going to wait for the races to reach out to them. But again, if you see that there's this shift where timers are getting more and more aggressive because of the situation and they're getting more creative, I would definitely, if you're in this area that you haven't reached out to your races, or maybe you have and that you haven't really closed things up yet or what have you, I'd encourage you to just reach out with them again and talk to them about what their plans are. And discuss the different things that they can do. If you've gone to the RunSignup's recent symposium where we talked about all the different hybrid options, and if you missed that, there's all the recordings on RunSignup site, so I would encourage you to look at that and watch the recordings. But there's a lot of great opportunities and tools and free tools you can use to offer to your races. So we do see that's really strong showing of races saying, or timers indicating that they're actually supporting on-site races. So 87% they're planning on providing services for on-site events in the coming months. So if you and you'll see this here, it's like they're already put on, this is like the 67%, I think, already put on site events right now. So we know that some places are just locked down again, but there is this, obviously this opening back up. A lot of them are doing kind of the virtual start times. A lot of them are doing this, maybe they're offering score timing over the weekend, and then it's virtual on the same race course over the rest of the week. Race day scoring offers or supports that flexible start time, so that's something to consider. So again, I'm trying to apply things to the findings that you can then apply in little ways. We have a lot of information and webinars about things that you can do Chris actually did a great series at the end of this last year that talks about the new start line, the new finish line, and the new race course. And all of that is really great information, and I encourage you to watch those if you haven't seen them. But it helps in this arena about how to offer a hybrid race. So the majority of timers are actually helping events through their COVID challenges. Again, if you go from the 5 and up, that's the higher percentage of races. So most of you are actually working with your races, helping them through these COVID challenges, guiding them through the different virtual options and the hybrid options, which is great to see. Okay, so now we're going to move on to the race day technology, and this is pretty brief. So we asked you, what of RunSignup's products did you use the most during this challenging year? And 61% responded virtual results, 50% said race day bibs, meaning the e-bib tools that we have, where you can send out email bibs, custom bibs, and also the bib assignment and the dynamic bib assignments and bib management tool. So 50% we made use of that, and then 47% made use of RaceJoy, which is great to see. And these are the top 3. There were other products, obviously, but these were the top 3 through the last year. Then we asked, well, which products helped you the most? You might have used one, but which helped you the most during this crisis time? And these were all just comments that people put in, but these 4 were actually said the most. And there was a lot of other ones, but these were definitely the 4 that we heard over and over again. And that was the virtual event registration. You were very grateful that RunSignup had this option for virtual events, and that was so flexible. And then with that, the virtual results, and that's something that RunSignup pivoted. And all of these actually, we pivoted this last year to support the changing needs. So it was great to see that timers found that these were very valuable in this last year. So RaceJoy, obviously, and then the challenge platform. So again, if you're kind of considering what should I do, what are the things that I should go to those events with about 2021, knowing that things are still uncertain and they're still adjusting, we expect that all of these areas will still be in full use this coming year. So, if you're not familiar with these, again, there's so many great tools out there. And also Chris, who is on this on the call, he can do a call with you, and you can sign up to spend some time with him to kind of explore your different options. So this is always interesting to find out, what is the timing software that you're using, and also the hardware data. And again, this is going to be a little skewed to those that use, RunSignup more than other types of tools out there. But you'll see that, and we just focus on the 2020, the race director continues to be, the #1 timing software, then RunScore. Other had a smattering of different things, but race day scoring is actually increasing, which is great to see, because as many of you know, that is our plan replacement for the race director. And we're doing a lot of training with that. And then ChronoTrack and Race Result. Those are the top. And then the hardware, that is being used is, as you see, all the IPCO and I always say that wrong, sorry, MyLabs, Chronotrack, and again, there was a smattering of different hardware, and then Race Result. So it's pretty interesting. I want to see, this actually had a trend of an increase, so did Chronotrack. Okay, so with that, I wanted to share some of the upcoming timer training, because there was actually one last thing I wanted to share that came from the survey, and that is the things that you told us that you wanted to know the most about. And the number one thing was race day scoring. So that's great. 50% said, I want more training on race day scoring. And then 47% wanted more information about growing and keeping your business. And then 46% wanted information about ways to help your events market themselves, you know, and marketing tools, because again, this could be a revenue source for you, right? So, so with that, we are we are offering race day scoring certification, a live class next week from 1 to 5. If you're not able to make it, we will do one-on-one sessions. And we'll have other live classes. If you've gone through the training and you want to do more advanced training, we're also offering advanced training because people have individualized situations, and we understand that. So Chris can take you through more advanced training. You just need to sign up for that. And then we are now launching a new program called RunSignup Certification Training. And with this, this is where we're going to train timers on how to use, actually how to sell RunSignup, because, you know, it's good for you to know what are our most important tools that you can then provide to your races as an added source of revenue. But the big part of this will be talking about our marketing tools that you can then use with your events, because you told us that's what you want to know more about. So we have free websites, we have email services, and so forth. All of these things we'll cover during that session. We'll also take you through how to onboard a race onto RunSignup's registration platform, and some, you know, tricks of the trade with that. So it will be a great class. It's going to be a 3-hour class on March 9th. Again, we're launching this for the first time. So I encourage you to join us in that. Both of these you can get to by either going to RunSignups, just searching for them as a race, and you can register for them. They're both free. And then there's also, or if you go to our webinar, schedule a webinar, so you'll have a link there to both of these. So I know this was short and sweet, but hopefully it was good information, and that you found it to be valuable. And let me see if there's any questions. James, was there anything that we need to dialogue, or if there's any comments or anything you wish to share about? I wish we could open this up to have people just kind of talk and so forth. But if there's anything that you wish to share, please feel free to type in the questions or the chat panel.
And just to highlight again a little bit about 2 aspects that Shelley shared today. Again, in terms of like, one of the things that was interesting, again, about that part of the survey where timers are traditionally doing 2 jobs, and, you know, it's a evening, weekend kind of thing. One thing to share with you, we have restructured a little bit how we do our support here at RunSignup, and there's been more kind of coverage, an overlapped coverage being provided now for evenings and for the weekends. So, and that was to address really the race day area. And we also kind of expanded how we're doing support for race day. So I just wanted to kind of share that. And that is in line with what Shelley's talking about here in terms of this focus as we look at the survey. Another thing I'll highlight again, as you go back to the survey, is what Shelley was talking about today was how can we enable our timers to provide more services? And I think just to kind of underline what she was just showing about the registration, there are a lot of race directors that they come in, they do one event, it's really difficult for them to understand all the tools of a very wide platform of tools available to them with the RunSignup platform. So we are seeing timers really start to activate and provide extra services around that platform and provide that as part of their revenue opportunity. So really that's what's going on with kind of this ongoing training, certification, call it whatever you want, and that's starting next week with just understanding how to sell registration services. And when I say sell registration services, I'm not talking about selling, we're talking about you being able to make money because you understand how to use all this technology.
Yeah, and so some of the new ways, so, we talk to timers, and I know Chris can chime in on this too, but when you talk to them, they're like, well, I'm not timing the event, like I'm not going out and putting timing equipment, I'm not scoring it. But if you're setting up a virtual results and you're helping them set up the challenge, a platform which can get really complicated, and so can the virtual results, and you're monitoring those results, and then you're adding on race joy. Well, you're offering them a lot of services that you should be paid for. I mean, that's your time. And and we do support timers, and we try to at RunSignup in our discussions with event directors, we really support the role of the timer, encourage them to go to the timer to get things set up and so forth. So the better you know those types of tools and the back end setup, and that's something that you can add to your portfolio of services, and you can do that remotely. All of these services, you don't have to travel and be on site. You can do all of those remotely. So it's just a nice way to. So we're trying to look at other ways that we can add on to that and help you and package up services. We're also looking at ways to provide you with templates of things that you can use so that you can just customize communications, videos and things like that, little quick videos that you can just shoot off. So you're not having to explain everything. We just give you quick tools that you can then repurpose. So those are some things that we're planning on doing. And Bill, I wanted to thank you for that suggestion about the GiveSignup certification. We'll definitely look into that. That's a good idea. So, anything else, James?
I think that's great. Again, we are seeing, we do a lot of sport here every day and the weekends, all over the race day stuff. Just to share again, another underlying thing that Shelley was talking about is we are seeing some timers are being pretty aggressive about, taking over a space right now where the more traditional event decided not to do it this year, and then they're just kind of putting something together hybrid wise. And you have some traditional services offered over the weekend, and then more of a 2-week window open for virtual. And I'm just trying to fill the gap right now during this difficult time, and we are definitely seeing lots of stories of that.
Yeah, we're seeing some, I won't name the race, where because of constrictions and so forth, maybe they have contracts with other timers that don't want to provide these services. They just come out with a new name of a race, and they work with a different timer that will provide those services. So it's definitely a time to be innovative and help your events, and also provide your own events. You know it better than most of them. So. Okay, well, thank you. Hopefully you found this information to be helpful. And again, next week is race day scoring certification, and hopefully you'll be able to join us for that. So thank you.